Have you ever been loved in a way that left you feeling emptier than when you were alone? You give your heart to someone, only to end up questioning your worth, walking on eggshells, or begging for the bare minimum. Carl Jung, the legendary psychologist, uncovered a painful truth. Real love doesn't make you feel this way. If it does, it's not love. It's something else entirely. Carl Jung's work reveals that love, in its purest form, should awaken your strength, not your suffering. He explored how our deepest wounds shape the relationships we tolerate, why we confuse attachment for love, and how people often project their unresolved pain onto those they claim to cherish. Carl Jung's work offers profound insights into why some relationships leave us feeling more broken than whole. One of his most revealing concepts is the idea of shadow projection, the unconscious act of attributing our own unacknowledged flaws, fears, and unresolved wounds onto someone else. When this happens in love, it creates a dangerous illusion. A person might claim to adore you, yet their behavior subtly or overtly communicates criticism, control, or dissatisfaction. This isn't genuine love. It's a distorted attempt to manage their own inner chaos by making you carry it for them. For example, someone who secretly fears abandonment might accuse you of being distant or uncaring, even when you've shown up consistently. Their accusations say nothing about your worth and everything about the parts of themselves they refuse to face. Love should be a mirror that reflects back our light, not a dumping ground for someone else's darkness. At the heart of Jung's philosophy is the principle of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming your truest, most complete self. Real love supports this process. It encourages you to grow, to explore your passions, to honor your boundaries, and to evolve without fear of losing the relationship. But toxic love operates differently. It demands conformity, silence, or self-abandonment as the price of connection. You might hear phrases like, "If you really loved me, you would," or "No one else will tolerate you like I do." These are not expressions of love. They are traps designed to keep you small. Codependence thrives in these dynamics, where love is conditional on you remaining exactly as the other person needs you to be, not as you truly are. Jung reminds us that true love cannot exist where there is no freedom. If you've ever felt like you're losing yourself to keep someone else comfortable, that's not love. That's captivity wearing a mask. Our earliest relationships, particularly with parents or primary caregivers, shape the blueprint for how we give and receive love as adults. Jung's exploration of archetypes and unconscious patterns reveals how these childhood dynamics replay in our romantic lives, often without our awareness. If you grew up seeking approval from an emotionally unavailable parent, for instance, you might unconsciously seek out partners who are similarly distant, hoping to finally win the love you once craved. Or if love in your childhood felt unstable, you might mistake intensity, drama, push-pull cycles, even abuse, for passion. These patterns aren't accidents. They're echoes of unfinished emotional business, compelling us to relive the past in an attempt to heal it. But healing doesn't come from repeating the same story with different characters. It comes from recognizing the pattern, interrupting it, and choosing something healthier. Jung's wisdom asks us a difficult but liberating question. Are you loving this person, or are you trying to heal an old wound through them? The answer makes all the difference. One of the most painful realizations is discovering that what you thought was love was actually something far more conditional. A transaction where your worth is constantly being evaluated and found lacking. From a Jungian perspective, this is the hallmark of fake love, where words of affection are undercut by behaviors that erode your sense of self. Conditional love operates like a moving target. No matter how much you give, it's never enough. You might hear phrases like, "I'd love you more if you were different," or "You're too sensitive," which subtly imply that your natural way of being is somehow flawed. Gaslighting takes this a step further, making you question your own reality. Your feelings are dismissed as irrational, your memories rewritten to fit their narrative. Over time, this conditioning seeps into your psyche, and you start to believe that love must be earned through self-betrayal. But Jung would argue that this isn't love at all. It's control disguised as care, and it thrives in the gap between what's promised and what's actually given. Then there's the slow erosion that comes with inconsistency, the hot and cold behavior that leaves you perpetually off balance. One day, you're showered with affection. The next, you're met with silence or indifference. Breadcrumbing, those tiny, sporadic crumbs of attention, keeps you hooked, starving for the full connection you're denied. This unpredictability isn't accidental, it's a form of psychological conditioning. The intermittent reinforcement creates an addictive cycle where your nervous system stays on high alert, desperate for the next drop of validation. Jung would see this as a reflection of deeper unconscious patterns, both in the person doling out scraps and in the one willing to accept them. If you grew up with unreliable love, this dynamic might feel familiar, even comfortable in its discomfort. But comfort isn't the same as safety. Real love doesn't keep you guessing. It offers a steady, nourishing presence. Perhaps the most telling sign of counterfeit love is the guilt that arises when you try to set boundaries. Healthy relationships respect limits. Toxic ones punish them. You might be accused of being selfish, cold, or unreasonable for simply asking to be treated with respect. Strings are always attached. Their generosity comes with unspoken expectations, their support with future leverage. This is where Jung's concept of the shadow is most revealing. The angrier someone reacts to your boundaries, the more it exposes their own unmet needs and unhealed wounds. Their resistance isn't about you. It's about their inability to tolerate any threat to their control. Over time, you might start to feel like a supporting character in their story, your needs sidelined to accommodate their demands. But Jung's work reminds us that toxic relationships are mirrors. The ways we allow ourselves to be treated often reflect the unresolved conflicts we carry within, our buried fears of abandonment, our latent beliefs about unworthiness. The good news? Once you recognize the reflection, you can step away from the mirror. At the core of why some people cannot love properly lies a fundamental emptiness, an inner void they desperately try to fill through others rather than confronting within themselves. Jung understood that when someone lacks a secure relationship with their own being, they inevitably look outward for completion, turning partners into objects meant to stabilize their fragile sense of self. This is not love, it's consumption. You become the temporary solution to their loneliness, their insecurity, their unresolved trauma. They may cling to you not because they cherish who you are, but because they fear who they would be without you. Their affection comes with invisible fine print. You must be what I need when I need it. The tragedy is that no person can ever satisfy such bottomless need, not because you're inadequate, but because their hunger was never yours to feed. Until they face their own inner work, their love will always be a transaction, not a gift. Control often masquerades as love, especially in relationships where power dynamics replace true intimacy. For some, vulnerability feels like a threat, an exposure they'll do anything to avoid. So they create distance through manipulation, mind games, or emotional withdrawal, keeping you perpetually off balance. This isn't accidental, it's a defense mechanism. If they can maintain the upper hand, they never have to risk the terrifying prospect of being truly seen. Jung recognized this pattern as a symptom of the shadow, the unintegrated parts of the self that lurk beneath awareness. The more someone fears their own depths, the more they'll project that fear onto their relationships, substituting control for connection. Their ego would rather dominate than dare to depend, because dependence requires a surrender they equate with weakness. But as Jung famously observed, where love rules, there is no will to power. Real love doesn't seek to conquer, It seeks to unite. The greatest barrier to authentic love is unconsciousness, the refusal or inability to confront one's own shadow. Many people move through relationships on autopilot, replaying childhood wounds, societal conditioning, and generational traumas without ever questioning why. They demand patience and understanding while offering little in return, blind to the hypocrisy. They may genuinely believe they love you, yet their actions consistently communicate otherwise, because their version of love is tangled in unexamined pain. Until they face their own darkness, their selfishness, their fears, their capacity for harm, they will continue to hurt others while insisting they didn't mean to. Jung's work reminds us that love without self-awareness is merely habit, or worse, exploitation. It's not that these people are incapable of love. It's that they're not yet capable of the honesty love requires. And you, no matter how deeply you care, cannot awaken them. That journey is theirs alone. In the end, their inability to love properly says nothing about your worth and everything about their limitations. You could be the most patient, compassionate partner in the world. It still wouldn't be enough to compensate for the work they refuse to do. This is perhaps the hardest truth to accept. Some people will never love you the way you deserve, not because you're unlovable, but because they're not yet whole enough to love anyone, including themselves. The first step in breaking free from these toxic patterns is developing the ability to recognize projections for what they are, someone else's unresolved emotions being cast onto you. When a partner criticizes, blames, or makes unreasonable demands, pause and ask yourself, is this truly about me, or is it about something they haven't faced within themselves? The more reactive someone is towards certain traits in you, the more likely they're confronting a disowned part of their own psyche. That explosive anger when you're too needy may reveal their shame around vulnerability. Their accusations of selfishness might mirror their own unacknowledged greed. This doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but understanding it helps you stop absorbing their distortions as truth. Your task isn't to fix their broken lens, it's to stop seeing yourself through it. Keep repeating this radical truth. What they say and do is about them. Who I am is about me. Boundaries are where love becomes action, not just feeling. Many of us struggle with them because we've been taught that love means endless compromise, that setting limits is cruel or unkind. But Jungian psychology flips this script. A relationship without boundaries isn't loving, it's enmeshed. Start by noticing where you consistently override your own needs to keep peace. Do you swallow hurtful comments to avoid conflict? Do you abandon your plans to cater to their moods? Each time you do this, you reinforce the toxic dynamic. Practice small but firm declarations. I won't be spoken to that way. I need time alone and will respond when I'm ready. The right people will respect these limits. The wrong ones will reveal themselves through resistance. Remember, boundaries aren't walls. They're the gates that let love in while keeping harm out. True freedom begins when you shift focus from changing others to cultivating your own wholeness, what Jung called individuation. This isn't about selfishness, it's about reclaiming the parts of yourself you've silenced to fit into relationships. What hobbies did you abandon to please someone? What opinions did you stifle? Which needs did you learn to ignore? Reconnect with them. Therapy, journaling, and creative expression can help unearth the unconscious beliefs driving your choices, like, I must earn love through suffering, or, I'm only valuable when needed. As Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. Healing these wounds changes your entire relational blueprint. You'll stop attracting or tolerating partners who mirror old hurts because you'll no longer confuse pain with passion. Healthy love becomes possible not when you find the perfect person, but when you stop accepting crumbs from those incapable of giving more. Breaking these cycles isn't about blaming others or yourself, it's about reclaiming agency. Every time you honor your worth despite someone's inability to see it, every time you choose solitude over suffocating connection, you rewrite your story. This path is neither quick nor linear. There will be moments of backsliding, days when loneliness whispers that any love is better than none. But Jung's wisdom offers a compass. Real love should feel like coming home, to yourself, not losing yourself in someone else. The journey may be arduous, but the destination, a love that nourishes rather than diminishes, is worth every difficult step. At its core, love should be a force that lifts you, not one that leaves you questioning your worth or shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's expectations. Carl Jung's wisdom reminds us that real love doesn't manipulate, abandon, or demand self-betrayal. It nurtures, respects, and celebrates who you truly are. If you've ever felt smaller, lonelier, or more uncertain in a relationship than you did on your own, that's not love. That's the echo of someone else's unhealed wounds, and you were never meant to carry them. The patterns we've explored, projection, control, unconscious repetition, aren't life sentences. They're invitations to dig deeper, heal, and choose differently. Every time you walk away from what looks like love but feels like suffering, you honor the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced fake love? What was the moment you realized it wasn't real? Was it a gut feeling, a breaking point, or something else? Share your story in the comments below. Let's create a space where we can learn from each other's journeys. If this conversation resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more psychology-driven insights. Together, let's explore how to build relationships that don't just feel like love, but actually are love. Until next time, remember, you deserve a love that feels like coming home, to yourself, first and always.